Hey everybody, it's Katie with Picture Perfect Lawn Maintenance. As always, this time of year I want to keep this video quick because it's very cold and windy outside today, but I want to show you where we are about 4 to 6 weeks into the test areas that we did, comparing core aeration, liquid aeration, and no aeration, and also comparing with and without X-Start starter fertilizer. So as a refresher, we did this in a 2x3 grid. The 3 columns that we have going, the farthest one to the left is our control. That's no aeration at all. The middle column is our liquid aeration, and the far right column is our core aeration, both front and back. With the 2 rows, the whole front row, we didn't do any kind of starter fertilizer, no X-Start, but the back row, that top row, we did apply a standard amount of X-Start starter fertilizer. I'm standing right now at the corner of the no starter fertilizer core aeration square. There's a little bit of grass coming up where the cores were, but nothing much else. It's a lot of dormant common Bermuda. That's pretty much all we've got going on here. Same thing with the liquid aeration. Very little is coming up, and I'll walk you guys over there in a second. And where the complete control, nothing done to it at all is, except for seed, that doesn't have much coming up either. So pretty good continuity between these 3 that didn't have any kind of starter fertilizer down. No real visible difference in terms of the amount of grass that germinated between the liquid and the core aeration. Maybe a little bit more in the core aerated section, simply because those cores offered that nesting place, which is what we expected. Now look at how much greener our field of vision has gotten at this point. This is my core aerated starter fertilizer grid, and you can see we have a lot of growth coming up here. The starter fertilizer on all 3 aeration variables did by far the best. The starter fertilizer made a massive difference. It germinated faster, it grew faster, and it grew much more uniformly. At this point in time, the liquid aeration is still coming in slower than the core aeration. But again, we expected that because for a completely undeveloped lawn, it's no established turf, that core is a big factor in terms of giving a foothold. But still, the grass that is coming up in the liquid aeration section is coming up better where that X-Start was applied. And then for whatever reason, our X-Start no aeration section is actually coming in beautifully. And it came in a little bit faster than that core aeration really did. It was the first section that we saw turn really green. I don't know if it's because of the shade from the trees that are across this part, but not the other part. That's kind of what we're thinking since it was such a dry, hot start to the fall. But whatever the reason was, we're just kind of watching that because that's a little against what we were expecting, but that's fine, that's science. So that's kind of the nitty gritty right now on what we're seeing. The biggest difference has been where that X-Start starter fertilizer from Carbon Earth was applied. That is a huge difference. So I strongly recommend looking into that for your program, especially if you aren't applying any starter fertilizer at all right now. Outside of that, considering core versus liquid aeration, as expected for a completely unestablished area, those cores made a difference and we got faster germination from the core aeration than the liquid. That being said, we are expecting that by spring and summer, you're not going to be able to see a difference because that liquid is going to be just as effective for reducing compaction. As always, I appreciate you guys watching, and we'll keep you up to date again in a few months with how this is progressing even further.